All right, gang. So what could go wrong? I know a lot of us are worried about what could happen. And there are some scenarios where, yeah, we everything that I shared with you can be eclipsed. Keep in mind, everything I just shared with you is happening now. It's not conjecture. There's no conjecture in what I gave to you. Everything that I gave you is hard data. It's happening now. But there is some conjecture. Well, maybe there's some. So what are some of the foreboding choke points that we need to be aware of? Well, one thing that could go wrong, and it's all over the internet right now, particularly in our circles, and it's men. The concern is that it's going viral, that it's a panic claim that men aren't voting. The assertion here is that early vote electorate is made up predominantly, overwhelmingly of women, and that means Kamala is going to win because women overwhelmingly vote Democrat. And even the Democrats have pounced on that, going, woohoo, all the momentum surging over to us because women are voting, women power. Now, I got to be honest with you. This is just more dooming when all is said and done. I'm just gonna, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Anything to get more men out to vote. Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't want to be complacent. Anything to get out more men to vote. Absolutely. Great. If this is what it takes to get more men to vote, sure. I'm all for it. But don't doom. Please, audience, don't doom. Don't doom. Don't doom. Fight, don't flee. All you got to do is literally take 3 seconds to do a little research on what early voting gender patterns have always been in previous elections. Exactly what we've been doing this entire live stream. You look to previous elections to see, is there a pattern? And the pattern is early voting always leans female. Always. And this year, it's no different, but it is a bit more pronounced precisely because Black men are voting less, just like I was talking about with Cliff. It's Democrat men that are falling off. Urban areas are simply not voting in big numbers. Like I pointed out to Cliff, Philly's down huge right now. And it looks at this point, like Cliff is saying, it looks like it's too late. 4 days out from the election. This is not good. This looks like it's the official pattern. Kamala's vote is not showing up. So while Black men are most certainly voting, while Black women are most certainly voting, they certainly are, and they're helping to drive up those numbers and may even make those numbers inordinately Democrat, so are Republican women. Republican women are voting in particularly Trumpy districts and counties, and they're voting at higher rates. You see, what's so key here is that GOP-leaning men have always historically preferred election day voting. Like I said to Cliff, I'm one of them. I've never voted early in my life. I've been voting for 30 years. I've never voted early a day in my life. I've only voted on election day. The only underperforming group among the electorate right now is younger Democrat-leaning Black men. So by all means, go out and get more men to vote. I'm not going to stop you doing that, by all means. But don't doom over it, please, gang. Again, the numbers coming out of Arizona and Nevada don't lie. That's the election. That's the election day spread out over 3 weeks. That's it, Arizona, Nevada. Republicans are crushing it. 2 blue states are deep red right now. And our high propensity Republican male vote has yet to come out en masse to finish the job and drive the last nail into that coffin. So hopefully I just put that, oh no, men aren't voting, panic to bed. Yes, they are. They're voting at about the same level. They've always voted in early voting, with a slight dip being accounted for by the paucity of young Black men voting because they don't like Kamala. Can you blame them? Hey, gang, with everything going on right now, it's hard to say what could happen or what will happen. And to make matters even worse, we usually don't find out until it's too late. But when it comes to your money, you should understand what's at stake. That's why I partnered with Goldco. Now, you guys know I'm a big fan of hedging future risks with the timeless value of gold and silver. And that's why you've got to click on the link below or go to turleytalkslikesgold.com to get your free gold and silver kit. Gang, it's an amazing free resource that shows you step-by-step how to get into precious metals tax-free and penalty-free, even if your money's still in a retirement account like an IRA or a 401k. And the best part is that you may already qualify to get up to $10,000 in free silver. You've seen the writing on the wall. Click on that link below or go to turleytalkslikesgold.com to get your free gold and silver kit right now, because this is about taking back control of your freedom and your privacy. We can't predict the future, but we can certainly prepare for it. So don't wait. Take action now to defend your freedom, your privacy, and your future. Click on that link below right now. A second choke point, of course, is concerns over election integrity. That is, of course, another that's another thing that can go wrong. But again, they're getting caught. And they're getting caught like literally everywhere. And that's what we want. We want them getting caught. That's why we had our guest on last Monday night, the Lancaster County Commissioner, to give us the latest on their investigation into this alleged voter registration fraud. Several counties throughout Pennsylvania have caught them red-handed. So the fact that they're getting caught means that it's going to be much harder for anything like that to get pulled off in 2024. Another concern is independents. Maybe independents are breaking significantly for Harris. So, okay, Republicans are up huge, 160,000. Yeah, but there's also 600,000 independents. Maybe they're going to break hard for Harris. The problem here, again, historically, independents tend to go where the momentum is. They went with Obama in 2008. They went with Bush in 2004. They went with Trump in 2016. Independents tend to mirror momentum. Independents tend to mirror momentum. And so what's so interesting here is that the one exception to this, even back in 2020, was Nevada. As the country moved left, ironically, Nevada moved right. They sided with Trump, the independents in particular. And it looks like they're moving even more to the right in this election. Nevada has been creeping to the right in every single election cycle for the last, I think, 3 or 4 elections. Here's an interesting analysis of Pennsylvania. CNN's exit polling, they just shared for their viewers. It showed that Pennsylvania thus far, Harris has gotten 57% of the early vote. We should expect that, right? They're up by 25%, right? Harris has gotten 57% of the vote, early vote, and Trump has gotten 40%. Now, if you know your numbers well, you'll know that on the surface, that looks good for Harris. That's clearly what CNN wanted to convey. But what CNN doesn't tell you is that only 35% of the early vote is Republican. It's 55% Democrat, 35% Republican. But Trump is getting, according to CNN and their exit polling, 40% of the early vote in Pennsylvania, whereas Kamala is only getting 57%. Trump is getting 5 more than the Republican percentage. Kamala is only getting 2 more than the Democrat percentage. That means independents are leaning towards Trump by a very significant margin. And this before the Republicans come out and vote in mass on election day, as they always do in Pennsylvania. So whether it's Nevada or Arizona or Pennsylvania, all the data suggests that independents are actually breaking for Trump in 2024. That's where all the momentum is. Even Elon, he just said that the other day. He said that in 2020, every independent voter he knew was voting for Biden, including him, by the way. He was a Democrat. He voted for Biden. But every independent he knew was voting for Biden. Now, every independent voter he knows is voting for Trump. All the momentum is moving in his way. And remember, independents tend to mirror momentum. Now, of course, that comment there is anecdotal, but it's another predictive indicator. It signals where all the momentum is. Think of it this way. Here's another way to kind of put it all together. If Democrats aren't particularly enthused about Kamala, and they're obviously not because they're not coming out in the numbers that they need in early voting, that we're nowhere near where Democrats were in 2020 right now, whereas Republicans have far surpassed where they're some of by 2x or 3x where they were at this time in 2020. So if Democrats aren't particularly enthused about Kamala, ask yourself, why would left-leaning independents be? If Democrats aren't jazzed about their own candidate, why would anyone else be? So I think this whole notion that independents, they'll come out for Kamala. You just watch. I'm sorry. I think that's cope. I think that's just wishful thinking. There's another possible choke point. Kamala's team are arguing. They're arguing is a very strong word. They're coping that about 10% of Republicans are defecting over to Kamala. They always say that, by the way. Just they said that in 2020. They said that in 2016. Oh, at least they said 20%. If I recall, 20% of Republicans were going to be voting for Hillary. Of course, they don't know that. The votes haven't been counted. But again, just ask yourself the question, why? Why would, if Democrats aren't voting for her, if Democrats aren't excited about her, why would Republicans be? If Democrats don't like her, why would Republicans like her? And then what do you know? With Pennsylvania, it's actually Trump who's getting far more of the vote count than the amount of Republicans that have already voted. And then, as you heard Cliff say it, then there is, maybe this is the final choke point that I can think of. There's the assertion that for the first time ever, it's Democrats who are waiting out, chomping at the bit to get to the polls on election day. They're going to come out en masse, and they're just going to turn this election on its head, and they're going to come out en masse on election day. And there's going to be so many Democrats who are not going to know what to do with it. Now, of course, the problem here is that Democrats historically are early voters. But the problem is that they're not coming out anywhere near the numbers they need to be coming out for Kamala. So according to this logic, then that must mean that Kamala, because she's the most popular person on the planet, that must mean they're obviously just waiting for election day. Well, we'll see. We'll certainly, just like Cliff said, we'll see. I mean, that's not something we can stop. We'll see. But I doubt it. I'm very dubious about it. Just flip it on the other end. Imagine all our voters historically vote by mail. They're not coming out, but we keep kind of whistling past the graveyard telling ourselves, well, they'll come out on election day. They never have before, but this time it's different. Okay, what do you have to indicate that's going to be the case? What's the get out the vote structure that you have in place to get the mass amount of Democrats that would need to come out on election day to offset the mass amount of Republicans that naturally and organically come out? Now, you'll notice something very revealing here. All of these possible choke points that I'm giving you, every single one of them, all the things that could go wrong, you'll notice they are all totally conjecture. None of them are based on hard data at all. None of them. Zippo, nada. Most especially, men aren't voting. That's not hard data. That's an assertion. It's just a surmisal of how things could possibly, hopefully, if you're a Democrat, play out. And, it fits even with the 10% of Republicans who are potentially voting for her. Even if, as I understand the numbers, even if that number of Republicans crossed her. You had that many Liz Cheney Republicans. Boy, she wishes she knew where they were when she was running for re-election. But even if you had that number of Republicans crossed over, given the early voting trajectories, that wouldn't be enough. And in terms of the Democrats waiting until Election Day, our good friend Mark Mitchell over at Rasmussen, he's got polling data that found that 50% of Trump voters nationally said they can't wait or they have yet to vote, and they're voting on Election Day. Only 39% of Harris voters are voting on Election Day. That's pretty consistent. That's why so many of the more honest Democrat operatives are starting to panic. They're seeing this massive Republican trend in early voting, and it's only going to get worse come Election Day. So there you have it, gang. The state of this race, as best I understand it, 4 days from the big day. We got 4 days to change the world. Let's make it happen.